The frank and outspoken chairman of Rajya Sabha and Vice President of India, Jagdeep Dhankhar's sudden resignation has set the cat among pigeons in political circles. So was it actually his health, as he mentions in his resignation letter? Or was the opposition-sponsored motion to remove Justice Yashwant Verma the real reason for his resignation? Because there are analysts who say that tension had been brewing for quite some time. In December, for example, he'd questioned the government on farm protests and what he termed was broken promises. In January 2025, he'd called paper leak an organized industry. But it was on judiciary that his outspoken comments, some analysts argue, made the government very uncomfortable. And is there more to it than meets the eye, as the opposition says? We get you more in this report.
It is a resignation that has come out of the blue, and one that is seemingly more than what meets the eye. Jagdeep Dhankhar, a stalwart farmer and Jat leader, has called it quits as the Vice President, citing health issues, just before completing 3 years in office. Prime Minister Narendra Modi acknowledged Dhankhar's resignation and his contribution to the country in different roles. But Dhankhar's sudden resignation has sent the political corridors of the country into a tizzy. Congress-led opposition has alleged something amiss in the BJP ranks, citing that both Kiran Rijiju and JP Nadda skipped key parliamentary meet chaired by Dhankhar on Monday evening, alleging the reasons for his resignation run deeper.
जो रिश्ता केंद्र सरकार और उपराष्ट्रपति के बीच में जो पहले जैसा था अब वैसा नहीं है, और इसीलिए जहां हम उपराष्ट्रपति के अच्छे स्वास्थ्य की कामना करते हैं, वहीं हम केंद्र सरकार से स्पष्टीकरण मांगते हैं कि क्या उनको पहले सूचना थी.
For what reason Mr. Dhankar resigned? You cannot decorate that line. I don't have any comments about it, because let us see the things. Let us watch. He is wealthy man. He is a healthy man. I think his health is absolutely okay.
मानसून सत्र के पहले दिन तो उन्होंने बहुत ठीक ठाक चलाया था, और अचानक से रात में ये सूचना मिली कि उन्होंने इस्तीफ़ा दे दिया है. अब दिया गया है कि लिया गया है, ये सवाल खड़ा होता है.
Sources suggest that friction between centre and Dhankar was brewing after he took up the opposition's impeachment push against Justice Verma. Sources suggest this caught the centre unaware, as the NDA's Rajya Sabha MPs could not have signed the motion, adding that they would have if informed in advance. What adds to the speculations is that Dhankar himself said just days ago that he would serve till 2027, subject to divine intervention.
I will retire at the right time. August 2027, subject to divine intervention.
Countering the opposition charges, BJP has pointed out their hypocrisy, claiming that just days ago they were calling for his impeachment. The Saffron Party also dismissed the charges as a bit to politicize a non-issue.
हर चीज पर आप राजनीति कर रहे हो यार. कोई इंसान, somebody is not well, डॉक्टर ने बोला but take rest, he is taking rest यार, let him rest. उस पर भी राजनीति आप कर रहे हैं यार, हद है.
Jagdeep Dhankhar stepping away might be the end of one chapter, but it opens a Pandora's box in Indian politics. Was his decision really about health care, or is there something bigger at play here? Bureau Report, India Today.
The opposition just 6 months ago was demanding Jagdeep Dhankhar's resignation, or they said he should be impeached. He was seen as too close to the government. In fact, he was described as the mouthpiece of government at times. That was December 2024. On 21st of July 2025, Jagdeep Dhankhar put in his paper citing health reasons. But the same opposition that was gunning for him suddenly has changed track. Was the government suddenly too uncomfortable with some of his actions, and why? We debate all aspects of these developments. Joining me on India First, Dr. Shama Mohammed is the national spokesperson of the Congress Party. Anand Ranganathan is author and consulting editor of Swarajya. Aarti Jairat is a senior journalist and political commentator. She's covered the parliament for decades. She'll give us the inside story of what's been happening. Raghav Avasthi is a lawyer and a political analyst, as is Tausif Ahmed Khan, advocate and political analyst, and he'll tell us, what Mamta Banerjee thought of him then and now. A lot has changed in politics in the past, not just several years, but 6 months for sure. Dr. Shama Mohammed, 6 months ago, the opposition wanted him impeached. Now that he's resigned, why does the opposition suspect that the government had a role in his resignation? Because there are some who say it's quite a hypocritical attempt to capitalize on his resignation. Or was he misjudged 6 months ago?
First and foremost, Gaurav, there is no love loss between the Congress Party and Jagdeep Dhankhar. Let me make it very clear. Nobody can forget that he interrupted the opposition MPs every time. Nobody can forget this man spoke against my leader Rahul Gandhi inside Parliament. Nobody can forget he has suspended 146 members of Parliament. Nobody can forget he has the distinction of being a Rajya Sabha chairperson of a no confidence motion against him by the opposition. But having said all that, nobody is with Jagdeep Dhankhar. The thing we want to understand, a man who said a week before that he's going to be there till 2027. When you look at his programs, in 2 days' time, he's traveling to Jaipur, suddenly comes out. And of course, we need to know, because this speaker has been the most partisan, spineless chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, and I'm going to tell it aloud about him. But we want to know why, when he announced the motion of the opposition MPs wanting to call out Justice Verma, an impeachment motion against Justice Verma, he announced it formally without even discussing with the Bharatiya Janata Party, without the members of parliament of their signature on it. And that's the problem. So we want to know, why should not the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha not be non-partisan? He should have a mind of his own. He should be able, it's not that there should be directions from the Prime Minister of India, from the president of the BJP. It doesn't function like this. He should be non-partisan. That is our issue. Nobody is standing. I don't stand with him.
Fair enough.
He has abused Rahul Gandhi many times inside the parliament.
Fair enough. We'd also invited the BJP to be a part of this discussion, but they chose not to be here. We're talking to several analysts.
Ranganathan is there, as well as Gaurav.
No.
Is there.
So they're analysts who are joining us on this show. But fair enough. Okay, Anand Ranganathan also wants to respond. Raghav Avasthi also wants to respond. Anand, let me come to you first, just to understand from you. Jagdeep Dhankhar's resignation, rather sudden, as Dr. Shama Mohammed also puts it, the same day as key union ministers skipped that business advisory panel meet that he was chairing. Was he given a cold shoulder by the government? Why was he deliberately being snubbed?
Good evening, Gaurav, and good evening to my fellow panelists. I speak here strictly as a layman. I'm not an expert in conspiracy theories like my good friend Shama is. So I would like to state a few facts out here straight up. Number one, as I say, a theorist has to be right every time. A conspiracy theorist only once. So, I'm not here to dispute whatever my good friend Shamaji has said about her theories. Be that as it may, it is a fact that you cannot say that if it was on health grounds, why did he not tender his resignation 2 days ago or 3 days ago? The vice president has suffered multiple ailments, especially one concerning the heart, which happened in March. And anybody who suffered the same, and I know it is no, you don't get a premonition or you don't get an advanced warning in the sense that it can happen anytime. Yesterday, he could have been advised by his doctors in the evening that, look, this is an emergency, you have to take rest, and that had to be followed. I know it more than anybody else. So for somebody to say that if it was a health emergency or medical grounds, why so sudden? Well, the entire point is it would be so sudden if it was on health and emergency grounds. Number two, this talk about whether there was something going on, this kind of thing with the hullabaloo in the government itself, and people were annoyed at him. Well, I mean, Shama herself said this has been. I disagree with her to a point. Is the most. I mean, she used a pretty strong language for Honorable Vice President, but that is her. I'm not going to say that, but I'm also going to say one thing. Agree with her that the Vice President has not said anything during his tenure which has gone against the government. Be that as it may, the fact also remains that if he's not done that, why should the government be suddenly annoyed? What has set the cat amongst the pigeon, Gaurav, is that kind of laconic, kind of cryptic, very cold tweet by the Prime Minister, kind of a send off there. And on a lighter note, as cold as the expression of Aditi when you first proposed to her. But that was on a lighter note. But the fact, I know you're smiling. Thank you for that. No, but, I mean, that certainly, kind of stirred the pot. But the fact of the matter is the other conjecture that Shama was making that, look, he's gone through a lot. Well, he's a seasoned politician. I mean, he fought on a JD ticket. He fought on a Congress ticket. He was, the colleague of Rahul Gandhi and his predecessors. Then he fought on BJP. And, for people to say that, look, currently the situation is so acrimonious that he was being slandered, abused, politicians learn to take it in their stride. And, nothing can compare to the kind of slander and abuse that he got when he was the governor of West Bengal. And even there, his last day, you see the pictures, he's all smiling and laughing with Mamta Di. So it's not, I think we're just looking too much into a lot of conspiracy theories. It's just health ground.
Let me get Aarti Jairat to comment, Raghav, before I come to you and Tausif. He had been admitted to hospital with a heart condition earlier, and we wish him, great health and a very, very long and healthy life. He had, according to media reports, fainted on an occasion, but leaders who met him, and especially Congress leaders, when my colleague spoke to him, say he was very active. He did not look unwell. He had multiple, meetings. How do you read this sudden resignation and, this theory that he accepted an opposition motion on Justice Verma, and that was perhaps the last straw that broke the camel's back?
Well, Gaurav, let's talk about his health. And since you talked about my long experience covering Rajya Sabha, may I go back to Shankar Dayal Sharma as vice president? I mean, he was also quite unwell, but, nobody asked him to resign. And then after he was vice president, nobody, people don't resign on health grounds. They carry on. Narasimha Rao, before he became prime minister, was extremely unwell, but he still became prime minister and then had a miraculous revival. So, health is the sort of commonly used euphemism to hide something else. Anand is not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm sorry, in this case, we have to see a conspiracy behind the whole thing, because if indeed
what could be that conspiracy?
Well, I don't know. And that is what I think we need to find out. Was it just an opposition motion that he accepted? I mean, is it something as small as that? And if it was, why did Jagdeep Dhankhar, who has been so, who has been, in the crosshairs of opposition fire for so long, why did he suddenly go out of his way to accept an opposition motion, knowing that it would irk the government? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me at all. And I think
Raghav,
this whole is a pre-planned drama. I think that, something has been amiss for some time, which is why Jagdeep Dhankhar suddenly raised the issue of his retirement 10 days ago. There was no need for him to talk about retirement. Why should he do it? Obviously, something was brewing somewhere. And, I think he was just trying to dismiss things. And I think this resignation has come completely out of the blue as far as the government is concerned, and has put the government in a very embarrassing situation, because now there's so much speculation about what could have led to it that, it's going to be difficult for the government to explain it away.
And it depends, whether he goes, as some argue, will he speak? And if he does, what will he say? Some of those who've quit the government and then have spoken have been vocal critics of the government, as in the case of a former governor of Jammu and Kashmir. But Raghav Avasthi, reports seem to indicate, and these are media reports I'm going by, that some BJP MPs signed some blank papers and the government did not respond immediately to his resignation. Of course, there was this message from the Prime Minister, and I dare not compare it to what Anand did earlier in the broadcast. But what does this indicate about internal dynamics within the BJP? There is an impression that's being created that there was a move to impeach him, and he kind of preempted it by putting in his papers.
I think this is all ill-informed speculation. And I think this ill-informed speculation is coming from political quarters that are desperate. Mr. Dhankar had been abused. His posture, his speech, everything had been made fun of by memesters affiliated to the Congress. So in this view of the matter, I think it does not behoove them to say anything whatsoever. The second thing is this, that the Congress party today stands absolutely bankrupt. The manner in which they prop up Rahul Gandhi. Shamaji, don't roll your eyes. Your lawyer owes me 5,000 in costs that have to be paid on the 6th. So please don't roll your eyes.
Okay. Can we stay on the subject? Can we stay on the subject? Only on the subject.
You will have a problem, Raghav.
Let me
I know the
complete.
truth about it. Watch out what will happen to you.
Let me complete. Thank you. Yeah, so what I was saying is basically this, that the manner in which the Congress party tries to prop up Rahul Gandhi, it's as if we are living in North Korea and he's our little leader. We don't live in North Korea, he's not our little leader. That's one thing. As far as Mr. Dhankar is concerned, his resignation is done and dusted. And since his resignation is done and dusted, there is nothing to speculate about. And it is best,
Gaurav,
as Ravi Kishanji very rightly pointed out,
Rahul Gandhi here.
5,000 rupees, Shamaji, 5,000.
Okay, no. Okay, we'll stay on the subject. And Dr. Mohammed, I'm just coming to you, madam. I'm just coming to you. Let him finish his point. I'm coming to you, Raghav. Just quickly complete your point. Tausif, give me 30 seconds. Yes.
I'll just complete my point. So, therefore, if we are to speculate now, I think it would be a disrespect to a man like Mr. Dhankar, who was such an accomplished lawyer that there was a former Chief Justice of the Rajasthan High Court who said about him that there were 20 matters in the cause list. In 10 of them, Mr. Dhankar used to appear. And as a lawyer myself of some standing, I can say that it is very difficult to prepare for 10 matters, and he must have had an absolutely roaring practice. So, in this view of the matter, it would be really unfortunate if this speculation were to be allowed to continue on behalf of people who want Rahul Gandhi to be a little leader, as if we are not Korean.
So why a personal attack on Rahul Gandhi today? Clearly not the topic, but since you've raised that topic, sir, Dr. Shama Mohammed, Tausif, with your permission, I'll just get Shama Mohammed to respond to it, and then I'm coming to you, Tausif. Dr. Mohammed, you wanted to respond?
No, my response is, like you said, why bring Rahul Gandhi? Because you get people on the panel who have nothing to say. He talks about some subject which is happening in court. I have Gaurav, please don't get such people. You're a good anchor. Try to get intelligent people who are...
Okay. All my guests, I respect all my guests.
One more point I have to put in. This
Dr.
is
Mohammed,
to Anand. Anand said, I know what happens when somebody gets sick and he has to take rest. I agree, Anand. He can take rest. He can take rest for 2 weeks. But why the sudden resignation? I'll tell you why. There was an issue last December also when he spoke in support of the farmers. Let's understand. Satyapal Malik, when he supported farmers. Now here, this vice president supporting farmers. The Bharatiya Janata Party and Narendra Modi basically hates anybody who supports farmers, because the farmers have been called Khalistani, farmers have been called urban Naxals. When they were protesting, nails were put, they were not allowed inside. And during the black farm laws, Narendra Modi never met any of the farmers. But when he will come back to the Nirbhaya protests, let's not forget Manmohan Singh and Sonia Gandhi ji met the protesters. Yeah, he will not meet the protesters, even if they're farmers, the poor farmers. That is the reason.
Dr. Anand Ranganathan wants to come in, but before that, may I quickly just bring in Tausif? Okay, fair enough. It's all fair in politics, and Aarti Jairath has covered it far longer than, all of us, and I'll come to her in just a moment. But Tausif, Jagdeep Dhankar's outspoken criticism of this judicial overreach, of government policies at times, the farm protests, the paper leaks, when he spoke on judiciary, and then his sudden acceptance of this motion against Justice Verma. What does this suggest about what was happening between him and the government, him and the opposition? And of course, what was it like with him and the TMC? How do you interpret his role as a constitutional figure and his relationship with the political parties, whether it was Mamata Banerjee in Bengal or the parties here at the center?
Gaurav, Mr. Dhankar's exit obviously comes as a surprise because the reason cited by him, health reason, really no one is going to accept this, because as claimed by one of the MP today, that he attended the meeting at 12:30 yesterday. So what happened between 1:30 to 4:30 that he was asked to resign? Now we have known.
But how do we know he was asked to resign?
Yes, I'm coming to that. We all know, and right from the days when he was the West Bengal governor, that Mr. Dhankar was a very loyal party soldier, and he toed to the line of BJP and toed to the line of the high command of BJP at the Delhi, even though he was holding a constitutional post and he was supposed to act neutral. He acted in favor of BJP throughout his career, political career, or as the career as a governor of West Bengal, and thereafter as a vice president also. Therefore, we really need to know what really happened. What line did he cross that he was asked to resign? Now there are theories. There are, in the corridors of parliament, people do talk about it. The fact that he accepted the motion, and that center had prepared another motion and had asked 10 of the MPs of BJP to sign on it and was going to table it. Therefore, this controversy and this talk is not going to die down. Yes, Mr. Dhankar, if you are to ask me, from my perspective, is a good riddance. But the reason behind it, I would really want to know what happened and what happens there hereafter. Since he's not seen to be in the favorable term, what happens hereafter? Because BJP is known for rewarding
TMC says
loyalists.
good riddance. Yeah, TMC says good riddance. 6 months ago, Congress wanted good riddance, or the 60 opposition MPs were saying good riddance. Now that it is good riddance, as some may argue, everyone's objecting. But Anand Ranganathan, and I'll come to Aarti Jairath.
Gaurav, you have to stop this. Nobody is objecting of him going. It's the method of him going. Please try.
Okay, fair enough.
You can't do
fair
this.
enough.
You kind of
No, I've taken your point. I've
Please
taken your
stop.
point.
You have to stop.
I've taken your point, Dr. Mohammed.
You're repeating it, Gaurav. You can't keep repeating it. I made myself very clear.
Fair enough. Anand Ranganathan.
Yes.
Jagdeep Dhankhar also pushed for judicial reforms, and it was apparently in line with the government's thinking. But was it just accepting this opposition motion that he fell out of favor, or the farm protests? And I'll get you the exact quote of what he said in just a moment. कृषि मंत्री जी बताइए, किसानों को जो आपने वादा किया था उसका क्या हुआ? वादा क्यों नहीं निभाया गया? पिछले साल भी विरोध था. Was something brewing for several months, Dr. Ranganathan?
Now, first of all, may I gently object to the language that is being used, especially against a person who held a, very honorable top post, to call, to say this, it's good riddance, to say he's spineless. I mean, small mercies, my good friend Shama isn't body shaming him like she did the Indian captain a few months ago, calling him a well-rounded personality. But look, as far as Shama saying that about the agri reform, may I please remind her that Narendra Modi followed to the T the 3 farm laws that were promised by Rahul Gandhi in the Congress 2019 manifesto. The only problem was that Modi delivered what Rahul promised, and that was the reason why people opposed it. So that's not the contention out here. What is also not in contention out here, very briefly, Gaurav, is the fact that whatever the quote-unquote outburst of the Honorable Vice President against the judiciary, it came decades late. Let's be honest about it. And let me also say this again. I am now veering in the realms of conspiracy theory. But again, nothing that he said was out of line to what the government wanted to be declared or to be said or wanted him to say. I mean, you look at what Nishikant Dubey ji has said. Do you think he would have said what he said about the Chief Justice of Supreme Court without it being vetted by the government? Absolutely not. The ground was being prepared for the against Justice Verma, the impeachment to be happening. That was the reason of the outburst of Mr. Nishikant Dubey and the Vice President. So let's not go into that terrain as well as in the agricultural sector domain, as my good friend Shama is doing. I think plain and simple. And technically, if I may just come out here, Aarti, I really respect Aarti ji, but technically she's wrong. In the past, when she said that nobody has resigned on health grounds, Mr. Yedurappa resigned and Mr. N.D. Tiwari resigned, although I'm not sure whether what his resignation was on health grounds or something else that Aarti ji would know about.
Okay, but Aarti Jairath, it's been brewing for some time, analysts say, and they've quoted instances. For example, on the 3rd of December in 2024, on the issue of farm protests, Jagdeep Dhankhar actually questioned, in the presence of, if I remember correctly, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, broken promises of the government. Words to the effect, कृषि मंत्री जी आप बताइए किसानों से वादा किया था कि नहीं किया था, वादा किया तो क्यों नहीं निभाया, पिछले साल भी विरोध था, इस साल भी विरोध है, लेकिन हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं, किसान संकट में, farmers are in distress, farmers are in trouble, why isn't there a conversation happening, why aren't steps being taken for their benefit? He'd said a lot of things that time. Does this indicate that after the opposition moved an impeachment motion against him in post-December, he was changing tracks?
Look, firstly, I think Jagdeep Dhankhar has styled himself as a Kisan leader. You know, that is his base. He comes from Rajasthan. He is a Jat. And, you know, he has styled himself as a Kisan leader. So it's not unusual for him to speak out on behalf of farmers. Secondly, yes, maybe, I mean, you could say that he was trying to change track in December because of that impeachment motion. Subsequently, the impeachment motion was rejected, and it never happened. And then, he again took pot shots at the judiciary, on this Article 120, I've forgotten what the number is, regarding the President of India. And he talked about the judiciary being a super parliament, about the judiciary taking on, having no accountability, taking on more powers than it should.
Yes.
So, I think he was playing both sides for the last 6 months. But my point is that, sorry, Anand, as far as health is concerned, we all know that it is a euphemism. It has always been a euphemism. I'm not saying that he's unwell. Yes, he has had a heart issue and so on. But that never stopped people from carrying out their duties. They still carry on. My husband has had a heart issue, but he still carries on, so sorry. He's not that old. And Narayana Tiwari, when he resigned, was 92 or something like that. So let's not compare apples and oranges. Okay?
Raghav?
Euphemism has
Yeah, go on,
always
ma'am.
euphemism, Gaurav. So, I think something serious happened before the parliament session. We don't know what it is. We still have to find out. Something serious happened. And I think Jagdeep Dhankhar was on the war path. Because, Gaurav, another thing that
he was on the war path. Interesting. Yeah, give us
Another
details.
thing that has not been noted is that on the first day of the monsoon session, he allowed Malika Arjun Kharge to speak at length on Operation Sindoor. Now, this is a man who has always intervened when the opposition speaks, not allowed them to speak, and so on and so forth. And yet, on Operation Sindoor, which is a very sensitive subject, he allowed him to speak. So, was he already, kind of on the warpath with the government? Is that an indication? The thing is that maybe Jagdeep Dhankhar will himself clarify matters because he is quite loquacious. And, as you mentioned, former governor who started giving lots of interviews after he was dispensed with, maybe, Dhankhar himself will start talking. So maybe we have to wait rather than speculate.
Okay, Raghav Avasthi, Aarti Jairath was talking about taking on the judiciary. Remember, it's on the 18th of April in 2025, Jagdeep Dhankhar had sparked off a controversy with his fierce criticism of the Supreme Court's 8th April 2025 judgment. And that 8th April 2025 judgment, which set that deadline for president to clear state assembly bills, I think, Karthi Jai, that was Article 142
That's right,
to
yeah.
enact this
I couldn't
10
remember the
Tamil Nadu
number.
bills.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, 142, without executive approval. Now, he went on to say it's a nuclear missile at democratic forces, violates separation of power. Lakshman Rekha, was that a Lakshman Rekha being crossed with the judiciary somewhere? Though in sync with what the government says, executive, legislature, judiciary, sabko maryada mein rehna chahiye apni.
As far as Maryada is concerned, everybody has to stay within the limits. There is absolutely no doubt about it. The second thing is that Mr. Dhankar is a lawyer of much higher standing than most. And if he has a comment to make on a verdict that has
Practicing
been
since
passed by the
1979.
yes, he is well within his rights to do so. And most of the judges who serve on the Supreme Court right now are his juniors, and they could actually learn a lot from reading the judgments that he has appeared in. So I think it would be a bit unfair to relate what he said about that judgment, or for that matter, what he said about the incident around Justice Yashwant Verma to his resignation. I mean, if you look at this man, he's close to 80. His health has been suffering for a while, and what we actually sometimes discount now, of course, let me complete, ma'am. Let me complete, ma'am. I didn't interrupt you.
I'm sorry, I'm just correcting you. He's only 74. He's younger than Mr.
74 is
Modi.
still old. 74 is
He's
very old,
younger
man.
than
Look
Mr.
at me, I'm
Modi.
38.
He's younger
I'm
than
38.
74 is,
That's
74 is not old.
the point.
Okay, but that's not the point.
That he's a septuagenarian. Shamaji, please give me the 5,000 rupees. I'll go and have lunch at Yellow Brick Road next week.
Okay, no advertising for any location here. But I want to quickly bring in Anand Ranganathan. On that other issue. So one was farm protest. The other was that paper leak issue. And that's something that impacts everybody. Remember where he said something like, it's become an industry. एक व्यापार बन गया है paper leak. इस पर लगाम लगाना जरूरी है. Students, they don't just fear exams, they fear possibility of a paper leak. Now, was he taking on the government in a way? Was he questioning just the failure of a system or the government's failure in controlling that system? And then they were on two separate tracks.
You know, Gaurav, in the last half an hour, one thing is certain. We are having a debate where we've veered off tangentially into heads I win, tails you lose. Now, to give you this example, you know, people have called him Mr. Dhankar spineless, good riddance, rubber stamp. Now, on the chance occasion where he speaks his mind, is he not a rubber stamp anymore? So, I mean, the point is, on one hand, you criticize him for saying exactly what the government wants him to say. Then on the other hand, you say, oh my God, look at his independent, voicing of this issue. Well, the two are contradictory. So, and to be cynical out here, I think the government also from time to time would want him to be independent, to give the halo or the impression कि भाई आप हमेशा rubber stamp मत बने रहिए. So that is, and RTG would know that has also been the case in many Congress leaders. There have been cases where Mr. Ansari, who was quote unquote a rubber stamp and instituted by Sonia Gandhi, said many things that were at variance with the Congress policy. And it is not that the Congress said, oh my God, now this guy has gone rogue, or no, it's not. It's just that, on a chance occasion, 2 occasions out of 100, a man speaks his mind. Now, either that is deliberate or that is structured. That is something to be...
Tausif wants to quickly intervene since I have just 30 seconds on this part of the show. Will the opposition just oppose it now, or will you pursue it? Tausif and Shama both, but Tausif, you go first.
Gaurav, contrary to what Anand was saying, you see, being a rubber stamp does not help you. If you bow down to the high and mighty once, you will have to bow down to the high and mighty always. And that is the Jagdeep Dhankar's epic example when he is being asked to resign now. He may have crossed the line in BJP's perception, and therefore he has been asked to exit. This goes on to serve a lesson to everyone holding constitutional posts, that you must stay true to constitution and uphold constitutional values rather than to further the political ambition or the political cause of any political party in power.
Dr. Mohammed, the 30 seconds that I now have left on this part of the show,
I just want to say one
how will
point.
the Congress pursue this beyond this point?
No. We just want to know what is the truth. We are not going to go out of the way to pursue. We just want to know the truth. But let me tell Anand one thing is, he can say what he wants outside, but the spine has to be inside the parliament. Let's understand. And Hamid Ansari never interrupted multiple times. He allowed the opposition to speak. This man has
Through the midnight Rajya Sabha session.
named Rahul Gandhi.
Gaurav, please tell her.
Spine has to come. And you're saying spineless is the spineless. You have not used the word spineless. Anand, I can take out your debates on time, sir, and what are the words you've used. So
Okay,
please,
no. We don't refer to. Okay, only Anand Ranganathan. Oh my God. Okay, Anand Ranganathan.
Has a spine. We want a spine.
Anand Ranganathan.
Yeah,
30 seconds on the quick point of Dr. Hamid Ansari. Go on, sir.
Yeah, look, I mean, are we reinventing the wheel out here, telling us that Mr. Hamid Ansari was not a chosen pick of Miss Sonia Gandhi? I mean, come on, Shama, even you would understand that. And are we talking about? No, please, I didn't interrupt you. Shama.
Did you have a no confidence motion against Hamid Ansari? Was there a no confidence motion against Hamid Ansari? Was there a no confidence motion against Hamid Ansari?
Shama, please.
Okay.
Tell me that.
Okay, just Anand Ranganathan, please.
Against
Gaurav, you were on live TV. You were on live TV when the midnight session of Rajya Sabha ended. You remember. You should be able to tell Shama Ahmad what was the reality of Hamid Ansari. So let me not go there. The point I'm trying to make is that everything is conjecture until or unless, as RTJ and I have to say, give the quote-unquote political devil his or her due, that like Satyapal Malik ji, you might see Wire interviewing a lot Mr. Dhankar in the future, and you might get to know the ultimate truth. I don't know.
Okay, we'll be tracking that story. The first interview hopefully will always be on India Today, and we'll be tracking that story very closely. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me. The illegal conversion racket of that Changur Baba convert to Islam either by threat or by coercion or by money. It wasn't restricted just to one part of Uttar Pradesh. Now, the tentacles were spread far and wide. Investigations have started. They're not restricted just to Agra in Uttar Pradesh, where more arrests have happened. Arrests have also happened in the national capital. We get you more in this report. The conversion racket in India is much bigger than what it seemed at first glance. While the investigation team is still busy joining the dots on the Changur conversion racket, another big conversion racket has been busted in Agra. The modus operandi is similar. First trap the victim in a web of lies, then pressure them to convert. This was the formula used by the Agra conversion gang to expand their reach across the country. A major breakthrough has now revealed the code language used by this conversion gang. They referred to religious conversion using the code word revert, which in their language meant Ghar Vapsi. An Instagram ID under the name Connecting Reverts was also created by this group. According to the police, women were first targeted through newspaper advertisements. Then legal petitions were filed in court to generate conversion documents, followed by marriage and paperwork to complete the process. So far, 11 people have been arrested in connection with this conversion racket. On day 1, 10 of those arrested were remanded to 10 days in police custody. 6 of the accused were formerly Hindus who not only converted but also changed their names and were now converting others. The gang had also created a network called Safe Zone to lure girls. Under this operation, 2 sisters were trafficked from Delhi, Samastipur and finally Kolkata. Interrogation has revealed that the gang specifically targeted adult women so that in court they could legally defend their conversion as personal choice. The Agra conversion racket has also been linked to the Islamic State and UN-designated banned terrorist organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba. The Agra police have officially acknowledged this disturbing connection.
देखिए, निश्चित रूप से अब्दुल रहमान इस धर्म परिवर्तन से जुड़ा हुआ जो यह गैंग है उसका एक मुख्य कर्ता धर्ता है। और जो मैंने आपसे कहा कि कलीम जो शाहीन बाग का रहने वाला था और जिसको उत्तर प्रदेश ATS ने अरेस्ट किया था, उसका यह अनन्य सहयोगी था। और जो कि इसके किताबों से और इसके प्रचार की जो सामग्री मिली उससे स्पष्ट रूप से पता चला है।
Now the police are combing through every piece of digital and physical evidence to build a watertight case, ensuring the accused face the maximum punishment under the law. With Arvind Sharma, Bureau Report, India Today. So the tentacles were spread far and wide, and for more on the latest in investigations, I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Arvind Ojha. He's been tracking these developments very closely with his entire team. Arvind, ये शाहीन बाग का कलीम, मुस्तफाबाद में गिरफ्तारियां, दिल्ली में तार जो जुड़े हुए हैं, कितना ये पूरा मकड़ जाल जो है कन्वर्जन का, धर्मांतरण का, कहां-कहां फैला था और क्या जानकारी है? कैसे ये धर्म परिवर्तित करते थे, कैसे कन्वर्ट करते थे?
देखिए, ये जो पूरा नेटवर्क है ये दिल्ली, उत्तर प्रदेश से लेकर कनाडा तक फैला हुआ है, लंदन तक फैला हुआ है। जो मास्टरमाइंड है उसे दिल्ली के मुस्तफाबाद से अरेस्ट किया गया है, जिसका नाम अब्दुल रहमान है। और जो शॉकिंग डिटेल्स ये है कि जब अब्दुल रहमान के घर पर आगरा पुलिस ने रेड की तो वहाँ पर एक और जो हिंदू लड़की जिसे कन्वर्ट कर दिया गया था उसे रिकवर किया गया। वो हरियाणा की रहने वाली थी। उसे फिलहाल पुलिस ने अपनी हिरासत में लिया हुआ है। उससे पूछताछ की जा रही है। उस लड़की ने बताया कि सोशल मीडिया के जरिए जुनैद नाम के एक शख्स ने उससे बातचीत की, उसके बाद उसे दिल्ली लाया। अब्दुल रहमान ने उसका ब्रेन वॉश किया, उसके बाद उसको कन्वर्ट किया, उसका निकाह कराया। तो अब तक 3 जो लड़कियां हैं वो रिकवर हो चुकी हैं। 11 लोगों की उसमें अरेस्टिंग हुई है। जो अब्दुल रहमान दिल्ली के मुस्तफाबाद से अरेस्ट हुआ है वो कलीम, जो कन्वर्जन रैकेट का सबसे बड़ा मास्टरमाइंड था, 100 से ज़्यादा लोगों को उसने ब्रेन वॉश करके कन्वर्ट कराया था, जिसे यूपी ATS ने अरेस्ट किया था, उसका एसोसिएट था। और अब्दुल रहमान के लिंक PFI SDPI से भी जुड़ते नजर आ रहे हैं। और कई जो लिटरेचर है उसके पास से रिकवर हुई है, जिसमें धर्म परिवर्तन कैसे होता है उसको लेकर वो लिटरेचर रिकवर हुआ है। साथ ही साथ जो उसके कनेक्शन है, ये जो पूरा मॉड्यूल इसके कनेक्शन कनाडा तक भी में फैले हुए हैं। लंदन में खुद अब्दुल रहमान का जो एक रिलेटिव है वो रहता है, वो वहाँ से फॉरेन फंडिंग कर रहा था। तो एक तरफ कन्वर्जन और दूसरी तरफ जो कन्वर्जन है उसके लिए फॉरेन फंडिंग की बात इसमें सामने आ रही है। कुल 11 लोगों को आगरा पुलिस ने अरेस्ट किया है, 3 लड़कियों को रिकवर किया है। लेकिन आगरा पुलिस का कहना है कि ये नेटवर्क पूरे देश में फैला हुआ है। गौरव,
पूरे देश में फैला है, यानी इसकी और विस्तृत जानकारी और जांच इसकी होगी। Arvind, keep tracking that story. I will come back to you for more. So some arrests have taken place in the national capital, including at Shaheen Bagh. Remember, Shaheen Bagh was where a series of protests had taken place. Foreign funding is an issue that is being investigated even in those Shaheen Bagh protests case. We'll be tracking that story very, very closely. But it's farewell to MiG-21 fighter jets. Now, MiG-21s were the first supersonic fighter jets that came to India. 1963. Nowhere has an aircraft served any Air Force for so long. It's been more than 6 decades. The iconic MiG-21, India's first supersonic fighter jet, the longest serving fighter aircraft, is finally set to be number plated. That's the technical term, and that will happen in September 2025. Commissioned for the first time in 1963, the MiG-21 holds a very special place when it comes to the Indian Air Force. This jet played a very crucial role in the 1965 India-Pakistan War, in the 1971 India-Pakistan War. It gave India air superiority and deep strike capabilities inside enemy territory. Over the years, it became a symbol of India's self-reliance. Why? Because this aircraft was then manufactured in India, hundreds of them under license. Later years, of course, it was marred by a series of air crashes. It was unfortunately also called the flying coffin. A number of crashes, a number of lives lost, but that was because we did not have an advanced jet trainer. From an intermediate trainer, people were flying, or fighter pilots were immediately flying the MiG-21 or supersonic. That intermediate jet trainer, India did not have. Now we have it. Now those crashes have come down, those mistakes are not happening, systems are hopefully better. But now, of course, there's a dawn of a new era. India now has the made in India light combat aircraft Tejas. India now has the Rafale. India now has the Mirage 2000 and is looking forward to the 5th generation AMCA. So retirement marks the end of an era, the end of a legacy. And I want to bring in India Today's Sandeep Unnithan for more on this. And Sandeep, this truly is the end of an era for the Indian Air Force. Unfortunately criticized as a flying coffin. This was a very capable aircraft that held India in good stead, including Wing Commander Abhinandan shooting down an F-16 in 2019.
Well, Gaurav, it's literally the end of an era for the Indian Air Force, the phasing out of the MiG-21 fighter fleet. Now, this was an aircraft that was literally the backbone of the Indian Air Force. You can call it the AK-47 of fighter jets. It was the Air Force's first supersonic fighter aircraft, flew at a speed of close to Mach 2, packed a lethal punch. It's a small aircraft. When you look at it, you realize how tiny it is compared to the other aircraft of its time, but it floated like a butterfly, it stung like a bee, loved by its pilots, feared by its enemies. It's performed outstandingly when it came to the 1971 Indo-Pak War. It was a game changer over Dhaka. It carried out multiple airstrikes in Dhaka. It was a game changer in the 1999 Kargil War as well. It is one of the most outstanding aircraft that the Indian Air Force has ever flown. The Air Force at one point had over 800 MiG-21s. It was literally the backbone of the Air Force. Of course, now it's been over 60 years in service. The MiG-21, the Bison, over 36 of them are being retired, as we've been told, by September of this year. The MiGs are going to fly out. They will eventually be replaced by the indigenous light combat aircraft Tejas. But the legacy of the MiG-21 will continue. It's an aircraft that served the Indian Air Force very well. In fact, you can call it one of the aircraft that's cemented ties between first India and the former Soviet Union. It's one of the first significant combat platforms that we bought from the former Soviet Union, and that's contributed also to the goodwill between the two countries. Gaurav.
Indeed. Sandeep, many thanks for joining me. Truly an end of an era of the war horse, the workhorse of the fighter fleet of the Indian Air Force. The last of the squadrons will be number plated in September 2025.